Yeah. Welcome back to Sitting with Ashley. I'm Ashley. Okay. This is a new series. I had a download last night, so I am going to be starting three. Big number three. I don't ever make a three with my left hand. Anyway, three different series, new series over here. And I want to do this one first because it's a little bit different than anything else on my channel at this point in time. This is going to be a space for community. I used to facilitate mental health groups, various in many different locations, and I want to kind of offer that over here on my channel. This is a series called Trauma Talks. Now there are going to be community guidelines for this because I am going to be leaving the comments on for other people to also share similar stories or things that resonate as I share. I'm going to be going through some of my darkness, some of the things that have happened to me in this series, and just let you kind of know you're not alone. I've been through this. This is what I noticed, and of course we're always going to tie it back to blaming the fucking system, okay? Right on. So, I just want to introduce this today. I don't know if I'm going to have an opportunity to actually share. I do have the topic I am going to be sharing about first in my mind, and it's a topic for women. So I guess I will go ahead and start. I mean, fuck it, let's do it. What's the point in waiting? So we have 7 community guidelines. I am going to be putting these in the description box below this time and in the future. Number 1, okay, these are the rules of engagement. If you want to share your stuff in the community or in the comments or whatever. I know that's pretty weird for an internet platform, but this is a space of incredible vulnerability. So it's very important to make it a safe space to do so, okay? Number 1, no suggestive comments at all. Will not be tolerated. I will be monitoring everything and deleting things, which is number 4. Comments will be monitored closely and removed when and if necessary, okay? Number 2, open comments for support, resonance, gratitude, and empathy, and that's it, okay? If you don't have anything nice to say, do not fucking comment. You can comment your own stories, but if you're going to comment on someone else's comments or my stories, you comment with support, resonance, gratitude, or empathy, or you don't comment at all, okay? Number 3, feel free to share your truth. I will be making sure that this is a safe space. I will be notified every time a comment comes in, and I will, again, be monitoring this. This is the only series that will have the comments on. I know I keep saying the word comments. Okay, it's starting to lose meaning as like in a comment. Anyway, number 5, because we already did number 4, which, again, they will be monitored, and I will fucking erase shit that doesn't need to be here, okay? Number 5, healing is a constant and not linear. So just an acknowledgement that maybe something happened to you 35 years ago and you get triggered by watching one of these, and it brings up a wave of healing for you, okay? Number 6, it's okay to not be okay. And number 7, stay safe and let me know if there are any issues. I will be available in email, or because the comments are on, you can flag me there, okay? So, Dea! Dogs. It's probably a skunk or a chicken. We've got everybody in the community alleyway. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and shift gears from a little bit quirky to a little bit more serious. And I'm gonna share a situation experience that I had in 2018. This was after 2017 was the most traumatic year of my life. From March until August. I was trafficked, okay? But that's actually not the trauma talk. We're going to talk about something that happened in 2018. I'll come back and talk about the trafficking later. I've talked about it a lot in other projects. Also, Tiny is going to to get in the bath soon, so I might have to go do that. I switched out my nose ring today, and dude who pierced the hole did not pierce it right. It does not line up at all, and it pisses me off, but I'm gonna try and make it work. Anyway, it's on my shadow side that you can't really see. So anyway, okay, I'm avoiding this. This is a situation that a lot of women have experienced, and I'm gonna share it. I haven't ever told this story because every time I've shared trauma or traumatic experiences, I'm met with indifference or apathy or nothing, right? I was in Los Angeles, and I was on, so this was before I was a mom. I got pregnant at the end of 2018. This was either the end of 2017. I think this was either the end of 2017 or the very beginning of 2018. And I got a referral from my, LA County doctor. How did this even work? Why was I seeing? I had a few. How did I even get there? Maybe that has to go back to the trafficking, because I had experienced a lot of sexual trauma in regards to the time that I was trafficked. Just for I'm not crying, I'm just, I was very much, there's a lot of things that happened to my body, in that 6 months. So I don't know how I ended up there, but I ended up with a referral to a specialist in, potential cervical cancer screening, and I needed to get a biopsy for my cervix, and I went to this, I went into a third party, right, this specialist clinic in LA. It was in downtown LA, and it was my first time there, and I had state insurance, and I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to do this procedure. I have had so much medical trauma. And after this one, yeah, I never went back. This was incredibly painful. A lot of women have these experiences. I have a lot of reasoning behind this. I believe that the tampons and other tools for your menstrual cycle are heavily coated in toxic chemicals, and I believe that those contribute to a lot of this stuff. So yeah, I guess it was just an irregular pap in regards to my cervix. HPV, oh yeah, okay. So HPV is the human papillomavirus, and I had been diagnosed with that back in 2014, and I do believe I got that from baby daddy. I don't think that I never had any issues. I never had any irregular periods or issues with anything until he was my partner. I had one partner before him, but that was it doesn't matter how often or frequently. I think I don't know, maybe 3 times. Anyway, all that to say is I'm pretty sure it stems from baby daddy, but I got that diagnosis for HPV in 2014, and so this was a few years later. I had another pap, and they were like, okay, we need to get a biopsy for your cervix. Okay, alright, I didn't remember until I shared that. So I'm at this doctor's office, I check in. It's interesting, I'm just gonna interject on my own story. It's interesting because I was just doing something, I don't know if it was a reading or what it was. But I was just mentioning how I had to go on a mental health break from my marriage, and this was the reason I left LA. This was so traumatic. So I remember right after this happened, literally right after, I was like, I need to get out of this city, and I went to Prescott to stay with my friend, and that's where I was learning about ancient cultures and kind of disassociating from this timeline completely. because of what happened. So why was it so traumatic? Well, it's very painful to begin with. Your cervix is, the vagina is like this long tube. It's a muscle. And then there's this little thin layer of skin between like the uterus, which is the womb, if there's a baby being born, in your vagina, and that's called the cervix. So like when you give birth, your cervix is that lining or that skin that like has to be 10 centimeters dilated, or it has to be large enough for the baby's head to get through. So it's like a little like wall, if you will, from the vagina to the uterus. And so they had to biopsy. So a biopsy is where they pluck a piece of skin and put it in a little test tube. But I mean, it wasn't even the biopsy that hurt. And I don't think this was my first one either. I think I had one before. And I also never got my results for this shit because I told these people to actually fuck off. Like I said, I was in state insurance, and I saw my file while I was there, and there was this big red stamp that said like state insurance on it. And I was like, okay, duly noted. We'll never get medical care if you have state insurance, because it was just like, to me, it was just such a dehumanizing factor to look at that. But the point of, okay, let me get to the actual procedure, the part that was traumatizing. There were like 5 or 6 women in this room. I'm, spread eagle on this fucking bed, and I was like, scoot down. And the bed, okay, so it was like the bed was here and the door was here, and there was no curtain because this is like a specialist office. I don't know. And at one point, so there were like all these women in there, everyone's doing something different, nobody's telling me what they're fucking doing, and I'm asking all these questions, right? They're just doing their work without, humanizing me, because again, that red stamp on my medical file. And so I was like, okay, ow. And as the middle of the biopsy, they're sitting there like doing the biopsy, someone opens the fucking door, and like I said, the door is right there. So it was like, hello, like I'm here. And they left the door open. So I'm just like sitting there with my vagina open to the world, right? I'm like, awesome, super great. Like none of these women, and like I said, they were all women in the room. I don't remember a man. That would have been a different layer of trauma. But they were all women, and they were just so, matter of fact. And it's like this, like, I understand I've worked 9 to 5s, but I've never let that take my humanity, And so it's just like, oh my God, like there was no privacy, there was no, bedside manner, nothing, okay? And, the most traumatizing part of it was, though, that one of these women, after the biopsy, put this material inside of me. And I have no idea what it was. And it was like this cray paper. Cray paper that you, like, decorate, like, for birthday parties and shit? That was the material, but it was, like, brown. And it came out of me for the week. Because when I was in Prescott, I was at my friend's house, like, crying because it was so painful, and this shit was like coming out of me, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. I don't know, like it was like this wet cray paper that they put inside of me. That was the traumatic part. I don't know. I still don't know. I haven't even Googled this shit. I probably should see what that is. I don't know if it was like a liquid bandage, but it was not just liquid. It, like, I don't know if they had to put a bandage because of the biopsy or what. Like I said, no one's telling me anything that's going on. In a few months prior to this, I had been trafficked and raped and shackled to medical beds and passed around to like medical facilities. So I'm at this place by myself. And I called baby daddy, because he was my husband at the time. And I called him after, and I left the office and I walked like a block away, and I called him, and I like fell over on the sidewalk. I like not in the fetal position, but like squatting down. Like I was like, you put your back to a wall and you like slide down the wall, and you're like, I was doing that in the middle of fucking downtown LA. I was bawling. I was like, that was the most traumatic thing I've ever experienced. And that's why I never went back. I never went back to get my results. I don't know. I'm chilling. But like, it was awful. It was so incredibly degrading and painful, and it was awful. And I think that the reason that this memory was triggered was seeing that, I don't know if you guys seen it, but there's this viral TikTok circulating that is a lot of people are weighing in on. And that is that a lot of these nurse practitioners at an OBGYN's office are taking photos of like the paper on the medical beds and the discharge or the liquid. I will get you one in just one moment, okay? I'm almost done. The liquid, after this ice cream cone, then we have to get in the bath, okay? So just give me a sec. I'll be right with you. I'll be right with y'all. Lost my train of thought. But it feels good to share because I haven't thought about it. Oh, that's why. So that's been circulating and everyone's talking about how like they already don't trust the medical, professionals, and and women are sharing like they put like a fuck ton of lube up there to even carry out the exam, like a regular pap smear, because they do. They like, ugh, God, gross. I haven't had anyone in my vagina since that situation. And so I think that a lot of people are like, why the fuck would this crazy bitch free birth her child? Well, these are the reasons why, because the medical field is incredibly abusive to women. I'd rather treat my whatever it is holistically than I would ever go back into one of those offices, quite frankly. So that is my trauma talk for the day. We'll talk about human trafficking next time. That was fun. I don't know if it was like human trafficking. Like I don't know. I was drugged up and we'll talk about it the next time. I have to get an ice cream cone. So anyway, another reason I've been celibate. I'm minding my business. But it was incredibly intrusive. It was awful, and I left the state, and I had to leave the state. I was, I remember that phone conversation that I called him, and I was like bawling, right? I'm like, and I think he just showed I don't remember, every conversation sucked, so I don't remember, but I didn't feel supportive enough. And then I spent the weekend with my friend, and that was even really weird. It like wasn't a very comfortable experience because we had grown apart a lot, but I needed a refuge and someone I could trust at the time, and that's where I went. I rented a car. Why didn't we have a car? I rented a car and came to Arizona. And I just stayed. I remember my friend was like, you want to go to the bar? And we're like 10 years apart. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to stay here on your futon and watch these videos about ancient cultures. Like, I don't feel like going to the bar. Again, I had these brown crepe paper chunks coming out of my body. It was awful. That was the time that I met this woman, and she was like, you're so magical. And for her to recognize my magic and my aura and my pain, and then I did a healing session with her while I was there that weekend. She did this incredible healing session with me. I learned a lot about myself in that healing session, and it was very divinely guided. She's actually the woman that hooked me up with the commune that when we first got the RV, she had a friend. I don't know how close they were, but she was the one that hooked me up with them. She did drum circles and stuff. When we moved back, me and Niall moved back in 2020 to Prescott. We hung out a little bit and did some healing work. She is a sound healer, so she did a lot with the tuning forks. And she, I was thinking about her this past week when I got my massage table. And my other friend Jen, who I had a session with this week too, who I got a prenatal massage when I ran away from my marriage to go to Green Bay for undisclosed amount of time, right? Indefinitely when I was pregnant. Jen gave me a prenatal massage. I had one massage since then. But anyway, I think that two things. Again, I want to make sure that we put this back to the system. Women within any silo of society, women are not given adequate anything, support, space, acknowledgement, any of that, much less women who are poor, lower class, people of color, women who are, fat, women who are LGBTQ, women who are trans, all of the systems of oppression that women can experience on top of being a woman all factor into the treatment that we receive when we are in not only medical spaces, academic spaces, business spaces. It doesn't matter. Under patriarch, this is the kind of treatment that women are getting, right? Treatment. I don't mean it in a medical term. I mean it as like how you treat someone, right? Disrespectfully. I've never in my whole life, my mother had really good insurance, so growing up I was kind of a hypochondriac. I liked going to the emergency room because I liked the attention, I think. And I liked morphine drips as well. But anyway, she had really good insurance, so this was my first experience with state insurance, because while I was in my master's degree, I got insurance through the college. And so yeah, this was like my first experience having state insurance. And that's another reason I was like, I don't want to even get my child a social security number. I have since then. Yes, we have insurance for him. I already dropped mine because I'm over the medical field. Whatever, take me out. I'm good. I'm not going back there. But it was awful. So, if you know a woman, we don't usually go into details about these sort of things, pap smears and whatever. With TikTok and the way that women share, and there's a lot of men who are waking up to the realities of women right now. A lot of men are like, what? A lot of men are learning about the cycles of the period, but these are things that people with uteruses and vaginas and vulvas experience. A lot of people have HPV. A lot of people have cervical cancer. A lot of people have fibroids and PCOS and endometriosis and tubal ligations and things like that. A lot of people, and one thing that's not really available is hysterectomies, which is the total removal of the female organs, which a lot of people want. And the medical field will not let you get. I really wanted one when I was in my early 20s, and the law in Wisconsin was that you had to be over 27 to receive one, and a lot of states now under this administration I can assure you, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it for any medical reasons, and they're not going to do it because they're going to see you as a baby-making machine, obviously, right? So again, I want to factor in, yes, I'm a white woman. Yes, I was in the category of being poor and having state insurance. But that was the treatment that I received. So again, all women who are within other oppressed classes or categories experience things worse than that. Okay? So, thank you for being here on Trauma Talks. Feel free to share an experience if you've had one as well. I will absolutely not tolerate anyone judging my decisions for the way that I handle my own body. Okay? Don't even. Have a good one.